Okay, this is part 2 of section 2.2, and the I can statement was I can distribute and simplify expressions. So again, if you haven't watched the previous video and haven't practiced this already, these are going to be slightly more complicated, but not too bad. So again, the two key ideas that we want to keep track of is we distribute the multiplication to get rid of the parentheses, and then we collect the like terms to make sure we've simplified things. And then when we write it down, we want to write it down in alphabetic and descending order with the constant at the end. So I've got a couple problems here to take a look at. We've only got 5 problems that we're going to look at. So we'll run through and do each one of these. Now you'll notice that this one has a negative out front and then a whole bunch of stuff in parentheses. So that negative, there's no number with it. So what number could we assume is sitting out there with that negative? Are we just multiplying by a negative? Although that wouldn't be too hard to deal with. It's certainly not a 0, because if we multiply by 0, that would turn everything into a 0. It's really a -1. So we are distributing a -1 through to every single one of these. So we have a -1 times a positive 5w. So we have a negative times a positive, that's going to be a negative, so -5w. A negative times a negative, that's going to be a positive, so positive x. A negative times a positive, that's going to be -7y. A negative times a -2z, that's going to be a positive 2z, because a negative times a negative is a positive. And then we've got a negative times a positive, so that's going to be -16. Now let's make sure we've got it written in the correct order. The x, y, z, and then the constant at the end are good, and w does come before x, so we're in good shape right here. So we can go ahead and circle this. That's our answer. And I want you to take a look at something. Notice what the negative did to every single one of these inside here. It was a 16, now it's a -16. It was a -2z, now it's a positive 2z. It was a 7y, now it's a -7y. Was a -x, now it's a positive x. Was a 5w, now it's a -5w. So when we distribute that negative through, remember the word negative means opposite. So basically what we're doing is we're doing the opposite, or in other words the additive inverse of each one of these. So it'd be pretty cool if we have a negative out front. All we have to do is go through and change the sign of every single one of these. That's a quick way to do a problem like that. Let's take a look at this one here. This one's a little interesting because it's got a negative number sitting on the back. So we're going to go ahead and multiply here, 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 and here. Now t, we're multiplying by a plain old a constant here. So tuv, and then a constant, and then the x. If we're going to put those in alphabetical order, here's what we're going to do. We're okay with this one right here, so -5 times 7t is going to be -35t. Negative times a negative is positive, so that's going to be 3 times 5 is 15u. Negative times a negative is positive, so that would be just the 5 times the v. And then let's be smart about this one right here. I'm going to write it right here. This is going to be a -5, and this is going to be a -45x. So I'm going to write this one first, and then we'll put the constant at the end. So this is -45x, and then we'll put the -5 at the end. Saves a little bit of time. If we were to write this down with these in the wrong order and then have to rewrite the whole thing, that'd be kind of silly. So that's a good way to do that. Just kind of keep an eye on the order that things are going to have to be written in when you're done, and then that'll make things a little bit easier to clean up at the end. Okay, let's go ahead and do this one right here. Couple different things that we could do here. You'll notice that inside the parentheses we've got an n and an 8n. We could combine those, and notice that these two are outside the parentheses, so we don't need to bother with that. So here's what I'm going to do. This is a 1n plus an 8n, so that's going to be 9n. Plus 6. I'm not going to rewrite those yet. This is 36n when we multiply here. 4 times 6, 24. Yeah. And then we've got the minus 15m plus 3n. Let's see. L, M, N. Yep, so the m is going to come first, so we're going to put that one first right there. So that's going to be -15m. Done with that one. Let's see, we've got 36n and 3n, so that's going to be 39n. Done with that one. And then we've got the constant at the end, so the 24 at the end. Okay, so not terribly difficult, hopefully, but you do have to kind of think about what's going on here, especially on these next two problems. So again, we've got some terms that are outside the parentheses, so I'm going to distribute through, and this is the first one we've come across like this. 5 times 8 is 40, but what about a times a? We've really got 5 times 8 times a times a, and if you remember, the easiest way to write that is with an exponent, so this would be a squared. Then we've got 5 times negative 8, so that's going to be negative 40, just one a on there, because that 8 didn't have an a like this one did. Then we've got minus 5 plus 10a squared minus a, and now we'll go through and we'll collect like terms. So if I put those together, I get 50a squared. Excuse my penmanship, hopefully you can tell that's a 10. Let's look at the a's here. Negative 40a minus, again, that's a 1a, so that's negative 41a. Done with those guys, and then minus 5. Constant at the end there. So again, we've definitely got that written in descending order. And then this last one, this is actually an example. This is from your assignment. This is actually number 24. We're going to do the same thing, practice the same type of thing again. So we're going to distribute through to the parentheses. So this is negative 6x times 5x plus 1. So this is going to be negative 6x times 5x. And I'm going to write this one out because we haven't done that in a while. Okay, so if I have, I've got a multiplication problem here. I've got two x's that are multiplied, so that's going to be x squared. And I multiply the negative 6 times the 5, that's going to be negative 30. Now if you can go right from here to here, totally okay. I'm fine with that. That's great. And then negative 6x times positive 1, that'd be negative 6x. And then of course we've got these other terms floating around here that I need to bring down now. And let's combine the like terms then. X squared, same variable and same exponent. This one doesn't have the same exponent. So if I put those together, let's see, different signs. Difference is 26. Biggest one is negative, so that'd be negative 26x squared. Done with those guys. And then we can't combine these two. This is a constant and this is a variable term, so we're just going to write down the negative 6x, the plus 2. I've got that in descending order, and that is it. Okay, good luck with the assignment. Thanks.